Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Gynarchic Awakening. Yet this is yet another video that's inspired by an individual who I I saw their comment on X, something about how they're having trouble, you know, getting up, motivating themselves to go to work, to live their day-to-day life because of the consequences of global warming, because of the changes that are coming to the climate, and the fact that collectively humanity seems to be going whatever. It also doesn't help when you have a lot of individuals who are on that website, off the website, spreading misinformation, who are attempting to discredit the work of individuals who have spent pretty much their whole lives or half their lives in service to educating the public. Um, I wouldn't know how to deal with that job. It's like, you're doing something because you're trying to help people, and what they're doing is they're spitting in your face while you are disseminating information based on the field that you have chosen to study. Not only that, but they accuse you of doing it for money or this or that. I mean, essentially, they're making accusations that are impossible to disprove. That is something I've noticed about people who like deniers. What we would call deniers is they are sometimes known for making unfalsifiable claims, like you're just doing it for the money. How would I prove to you if you're being paid money to do research, or you're being paid money to do a job? How do you prove that somebody is not doing it for the money? Do you have like mind reading powers? Are you able to reach into every human being's brain and know every single influence or motivation that affects that person? Because if you don't, you realize how silly that claim is, right? Saying, "Oh, they're just doing it for money or this or that." There's no way to know what the real reason is. It just, again, it sounds really silly, but then again, these are the same people who believe in another unfalsifiable hypothesis. Um, you can actually just, whenever you find one unfalsifiable hypothesis, usually there's other unfalsifiable hypotheses that kind of follow it, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to go into that other nonsense. If you want to see other channels talk about that, they're around. But I kind of wanted to explain in sort of as a reaction to that comment a little bit more in detail rather than what I put on X, which is that I at one point was considering math research and math teaching, and I have, even though I still personally enjoy solving problems very rarely now, though, I have no more interest in pursuing either of these fields, and the reasoning is simple. Billions of human beings are going to die in the next few decades. Industrialized civilization is essentially collapsing, at least from my perspective, based on the research that I've seen. Based on, again, if the data is correct, if the scientists' claims are correct, we are looking at at the collapse of our civilization as we understand it. And so I don't see the point in spending, because math research is no joke. It can take, especially if you are struggling with problems in your personal life, if you don't have family members that are particularly supportive in the ways you need them to be, or there's financial issues. There could be a number of problems that can hamper your ability to execute that level of research. It can take 5, 6, 7, 8, how many years just to get your doctorate in mathematics or more. Again, depends on your financial situation, depends on all that. But then afterwards, there's no guarantee that you're ever going to discover anything, or that you or other people you're collaborating with are going to get anywhere. So that just kind of it hits harder when you realize that the career you were considering is something that's just going to drag it could take you literally your entire life before you see results, because even though you could study, you could get to the doctor level, you still have to continue to study after that. You have to research which field, you have to look into which fields you want to research, then you have to put time and effort into that, and there is no guarantee that you, and this is not to include the fact that this is leaving out the fact that in addition to learning raw mathematics, you may end up having to learn other disciplines because they may intersect in some way or may be able to assist you in some way with a particular problem. If you ever seen the Millennium Problems that people are, that I think, I don't remember which organization it was, but there are these problems have money attached to it if you solve them. Sorry, not attached. I'm not explaining myself very well here because it's tired. I'm late. I'm late and it's tired. Um, these problems, if you solve them and you are able to prove that you've solved them, money will be given to you. That was the understanding that I had when I read them. I could be wrong, but that's what I remember. But I also looked at the requirements, like what you would need, what fields you would have to study. You basically better be a genius level intellect to even try to mess with these problems, or at least somebody who is very well studied, who has been doing this their entire lives, and who has the proper support system that will allow them to pursue solving these incredibly difficult, complex problems. I don't have that in my life. I don't have that kind of a system. I don't have that kind of a financial disposition. And I certainly don't have the health necessary to pursue it that way. So that doesn't work out. But let's think about it this way too. It can be a very lonely thing. Like, you can be doing this for 20, 30 years. I mean, these people are real champions here. They can do it in their entire lives, and for the most part, they're not getting immediate feedback or satisfaction for what it is that they do, which is why I do have immense respect for people who engage in these fields. But the thing is, aside from the fact that it would take so long anyways, by the time I could figure something out or could get anywhere, or by the time I'm competent enough to actually even attempt these problems, if civilization collapses, it literally makes all of my efforts pointless, because I then have to concern myself with survival. So there's no real point from an existential perspective in pursuing this, because eventually, like, if billions of people go poof, the survivors' priorities, if there are any survivors, it's not going to be, hey, I want to see that nice little math research paper you've been working on. You know why? Because the most likely people who are going to survive aren't going to be math researchers or even physicists necessarily. It's going to be the people who know how to scrap, the people who understand how to forage for food, who know and can survive. And because I've listened to some people say they'd put a bullet in their head. I've seen the podcasts, I've seen live streams where people have insisted, have told their friends, they're like, no, I don't want to live in this world if that happens. This is no joke. These people are dead serious about this shit, and I believe them. So that kind of went out the window. But what about teaching, right? The problem with teaching is that the children are abusive, and I don't want, and also my teaching, just teaching them how to do math, is going to be pointless, because once again, we've got the same problem here. Oh yeah, great, I teach people, and then 20 years most of them end up dead anyways. Like, what's the point in that? That doesn't seem, I think I'm about to sneeze. Fuck. You can't prepare for those kinds of things. You really can't. Be stupid sneezing. So what's the point in swallowing all this abuse from these kids, or sometimes even young adults? What's the point of swallowing all of it so that in 20 or 30 or whatever years it all goes to hell anyways, and it's not gonna matter. Like, okay, yeah, you're getting a paycheck, but you could get a paycheck doing something else. I'm not gonna do that bullshit. I'm not, I pretty much told myself, I was like, I'm not, I know what kind of man I am. I can't put up with kids constantly abusing me and not being allowed to discipline them. I don't feel like fighting with administrators or other people over my authority. I don't feel like going behind administrators' back and disciplining them privately. I don't feel like engaging in any of these thoughts or even really thinking about it in any depth, because at the end of the day, if the kids don't want to learn, I'm wasting my time anyways, and I don't want to be in a classroom just to pass a bunch of students. I want people to learn. I want people to grow. But if they don't want these things, if they're going to be obstinate, if they're going to destroy the learning experience for other students in the classroom, and I'm not allowed to use my authority to protect what I would call the sanctity of a classroom where children are allowed to feel safe and relaxed, where they can ask questions free from the judgment of their peers or of their teacher, where they can be more like what they could be, like be more like their authentic selves. I don't want to have anything to do with that. I don't want to associate with any institution that is like that. I don't care whether they're private or public. It's the same fucking problem. I don't want to associate with the individuals who are defending these institutions and somehow upholding them as some kind of standard that we shouldn't tear down. We should. They should be replaced. Simply put, they're not working anyways. We end up importing scientists and people from other countries because we don't produce enough in the United States. That hasn't changed all that much. I mean, you can go and look it up for yourself. It is what it is. So when I chose my career in the arts, in other words, I'm not choosing to be like an art professor or anything. I'm just to me, it's just a better career because, or not a career necessarily, but a better path for my life because I get to express a lot of the problems I'm going through and some of the thoughts that I'm having, and I get more immediate feedback compared to what it would take, the kind of feedback I would get if I was spending my entire life doing the other stuff. And some of that feedback isn't what I would want anyways. But, I've already published at least 2 works. I am currently in the process. I've already written and completed an outline for, and I made a mistake of saying I completed the outline for the whole thing. I didn't. I completed an outline for part of my upcoming manga. And it's been one of my dreams to make a manga, no matter what, no matter how shitty it is, no matter how bad it starts off. My dream is to create a manga chapter and then to finish that from beginning to end. And the great thing is, people, there'll be immediate feedback, there'll be talk about it, there'll be joy. These things are more valuable to me than wasting my time doing something and then getting nothing in the end. Whereas I can do these things, and since civilization hasn't collapsed yet, people can read these stories, they can maybe appreciate them or find inspiration in them or laugh or whatever can move them, whatever if it gives them something to hate on or critique. That's the great thing, right? It doesn't matter to me whether you love it or hate it. Just talk about it. You talk about it, you have fun. You get to enjoy yourself. That's kind of what I like, about pursuing that kind of fate or destiny, if you will, is that I don't need to, because I love math, and if there's a point where I survive and I have to teach survivors, that's not really a problem. My problem is not having the authority to root out narcissistic children from a system that is frankly corrupt. A narcissistic child, in my view, does not have the right to disrupt and destroy the learning experience of the other children in the room who do acknowledge and accept that they are not the center of the universe. If I don't have the authority to do that, I don't want to teach that classroom because I feel like it would just be a waste of my endeavors, my time, my energy, and my health, because my health will take a hit. Don't believe me? Ask all the other teachers who did go into the profession.